Passes to Northfield Country Club are $30, and Montague Golf Course in Randolph are $40. That's for 18 holes with a cart. Or, if fishing's your thing, get a catamount fishing half-day fly fishing trip for just $250. There's deals on food, too. $50 gift certificates to Ranch Camp or the Backyard and Stowe are just $30. Find all the current deals at WDEVradio.com. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need three things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you on the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Really short show today. Sox are in Toronto, so 6:07 pregame show, 7:07 first pitch. Sox are 1.5 games up on Toronto right now in the AL wildcard race. The Sox right now have the top spot in the American League wildcard picture. They have won 8 of 10. They sweep Cleveland. The Red Sox are just roaring right now. Times very, very exciting now for Sox fans. We'll talk a little bit about the Sox. We'll talk a little bit about some of the local news that came down this weekend and some more local news that came down just moments ago. My arm is absolutely dragging today. I pitched 6 innings yesterday, and my arm is just hanging. And for the last 3 years, my arm has been hanging. Every week that I throw, my arm is hanging. It's become an expectation. It takes a lot now for me to throw on game day. Once I start, I can do it kind of all day, but then I can't do it again for a week. So I'm at the point now where before a game starts, I'm taking 2 to 3 ibuprofens. I'm rubbing capsaicin, which is hot arthritis cream, basically, on my elbow, bicep, and shoulder. And I'm using Tiger Balm, which is, a cream also. So I'm all lathered up by the time I pitch. And usually, again, I feel good on game day, and then I hurt afterwards. Well, yesterday, I didn't have my ibuprofen, and I was just lost. So by the second inning, my arm was just throbbing, and I found a way to gut out 6 and actually threw in spots fairly well. But today, I am paying the price. My arm, I am massaging my arm as I speak right now. My right hand is on the mouse, controlling things. My left arm is rubbing my shoulder as I speak to you, and it's been like this all day. So good thing we're off next week for July 4th, because I think I might need all 2 weeks here to recover. And damn, was it hot out yesterday. It should have been easier to throw yesterday because of how warm it was. No, it was oppressively hot. So I was dying physically. My arm was throbbing. And again, I did okay. I did not get the win. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you I was great. I wasn't awful, but I am hurting today, no doubt about that. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. That's your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also check us out on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account as well. Just search for @WDEV Radio Brady. Again, that's 802-585-3026 on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. As the Red Sox get set to play the Blue Jays tonight in that first of 3 in a huge series from the Rogers Center, some of you are very, very angry at Duran and at Tanner Houck for not being available for this series. These two players cannot play in Canada. They are on the restricted list. Neither one of them are vaccinated. And make no mistake, it is a loss for the Red Sox. Okay? This is a loss for them. Sox are hot. They've won 8 of 10. Duran's a huge reason why. He's hitting .327. He's got 4 stolen bases. He's been a table setter at the top of the order. He leads you in nicely to the big boppers in your lineup, and he gives you a dynamic that isn't really there when he's not there. This team Story can run. Beyond that, not a lot of guys on this team run or use speed. Duran just makes things happen. I was listening to Steve Peralta, you're going to hear from a little bit today in the Red Sox pregame show on our station. He calls him Chaos Duran. That's a pretty good moniker right there. Okay, the other day, last week, starts off the game, his speed forces an error from Javi Baez, Red Sox score. Yesterday, he beats out a ball in the 3rd inning, avoids a tag, Red Sox go on to score in that inning. Jarren Duran not being there is a loss for this team. Houck also has allowed only 2 runs in all of June. That's 11 appearances in more than 11 innings. He's got 15 strikeouts versus 1 walk in June. He's been great also since going into this leverage role in the bullpen. Both guys not being available is losses. I told you last week I was not going to judge them. I told you last week I was done judging people for not getting vaccinated. But some of you who directed tweets right at me today are completely you are furious with Duran and with Houck. I got a text from Chris in Newport. Brady, you might not be judging these guys, but I am. Even more harsh than that was CJ and Charlotte. I'm judging. You get paid millions of dollars to play a sport, and you're too selfish to get a shot that everyone with a brain knows at this point is safe. If I'm the Red Sox, I'm looking to replace them at the deadline. You never know how this might affect their playoff standing. Let's start with that message first, okay? CJ and Charlotte. Breathe. I am not looking to move Houck and Duran at the trade deadline. Just get out of here with that thought. Houck has 4 or 5 years left of team control after this one. Duran has 5 or 6. I am not trading these guys with tons of years of team control, which is exactly what you covet. Teams covet getting young players who are productive, who are cheap, with tons of team control. I am not getting rid of 2 guys like that just because they wouldn't get vaccinated. So you can get that thought right out of your head. Houck and Duran also are both likely part of my future. I can't get rid of my future over this. I had mentioned last week, I might be willing to move Duran in a deal to get someone else who can help, and I would. It's a maybe. I would if the deal was right. But if I get rid of Jarren Duran, it will be because of baseball reasons and good player value, not because I'm shunning him over not getting vaccinated. I also have to assume, I hope, that this vaccination rule in Canada will be over with by next baseball season. So if Duran's got 5 or 6 years left of team control, this is a 1-year issue. I'm not shipping out a guy who can help for the future where 4 of the 5 years are perfect and 1 is the issue. For this one, I got to just handle it. I can't jeopardize a long-term future over this decision to not get vaccinated. Moving on here. The second part of that message, again, from CJ and Charlotte, talking about how much money they make. You get millions to play a sport. Well, that doesn't really apply here. Not in Duran and Houck's case. They are league minimum making players. They are guys getting paid the lowest of anybody in Major League Baseball. I am surprised, as I told you last week, I am surprised that these players made this choice. But I don't think of them as team leaders or something. If you want to get angry at somebody, the guy I'm angry at more is Chris Sale. Chris Sale more fits the line of your thinking. Chris Sale gets paid $145 million. Chris Sale is a team leader. Chris Sale is the guy who you could say, oh, he makes a bunch of money. How could he not be a team player? That's the guy to get angry at. The guy to get angry at is not the rookie outfielder, Jarren Duran, or Tanner Houck right now. Not, at least you can be angry at him if you want, but don't use the money excuse. They're not the guys who are these guys are so rich and here they can't do something for the team. These guys are not that. These guys are sacrificing payment here, and it could affect them at some point. Chris Sale doesn't affect. Okay, Chris Sale's the guy you want to direct your anger to if you want to talk to me about money. Okay, team leaders, higher paid guys, the veterans, I probably hold them to a higher standard. I'm not judging Duran and Houck. I don't like it. Okay, flat, I don't like it. I want them to be available. I want things to be status quo for the Red Sox because status quo right now has worked pretty good. But I'm not judging them. A lot of you are. That's fine. You're allowed to. But if you want to tell me, oh, these guys make so much money, these guys don't. Chris Sale does. That's where the anger, I think, should go. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. A couple of people on the message. A lot of people talking about my arm. Peter says, hope your arm and shoulder heals ASAP. Phil says, just become a lefty. That probably won't work well. I probably won't be in the league very long if that's the case. More on Duran and Houck. I was thinking about this after I saw how much venom was out there about their decision. I really tried to step back. And I tried to think, why am I not angry? I know it's a loss for the team. I don't love the decision. But I'm not angry at them. And my question to myself is why? And I came up with a few different reasons. One, for my own personal life, and this is just me, I'm not telling you to agree with me. I told you last week, I am COVIDed out. I am COVIDed out. I am vaccinated out. I am politicked out. Those things have made everybody so angry that I have just decided to not swim in those waters anymore. Okay? I'm just not going to do it. You got your feelings on COVID. I got mine. And I'm not going to ask what you feel. And I don't want you to ask what I feel. And we'll all just coexist. That is just how I personally feel. If you feel different, you're absolutely welcome to. I'm not telling you that my way is right. I'm just telling you that that is my way. I am never going to come in contact with Jarren Duran or with Tanner Houck. They're not going to come in contact with any of my family members who may be immunocompromised. So their vaccine status does not affect me personally. So therefore, I have chosen to just drop it. I have chosen to just let it go. I have given up the fight on vaccines. I have given up the fight on COVID. The anger that stems from it all is just not worth it to me. Okay? The Red Sox are going to roll with the punches. The Red Sox have brought up Connor Siebold, and the Red Sox have brought up Yolmer Sanchez. They have dealt with it. I'm not dismissing COVID or telling you not to get vaccinated. I got vaccinated and boosted. So I have just decided to no longer pick this fight and stop banging this drum. That is just me. The second reason that I think I'm not bothered, or rather, I should say, I'm not judging Houck and Duran, and why I'm not as angry as a lot of you are, is that I just don't hold these particular players to that high of a standard. Whether or not that's fair or foul, I did not come into this season thinking that the team's playoff hopes would hinge on Houck and Duran. I understand this is a big deal, but JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, those are the guys that I'd be more disappointed in. Those are the guys I know that the team needs, the guys I know the team relies on and the team counts on. Those are the guys that I would judge harsher. And I don't know that that's fair. It probably isn't fair. But the guys who I expected all year to be a huge part of this season, those are the guys coming into the year that I had more of a target on when it came to getting vaccinated. Duran and Houck were not on that list. And despite how important they have become, they weren't important to me at the beginning, and I didn't think they'd be significant losses, and I just haven't really changed my opinion on that. Martinez, Bogaerts, Devers, some of the key bullpen arms, Pavetta, Evaldi, these are the guys that I would have been upset with. I'm more mad at Sale when he comes back for not being vaccinated than I am at Duran and Houck. I'm more judgy of Sale. Phil in Middlesex. Let's see. Now, Houck and Duran were in Cleveland yesterday. The team goes to Toronto. How did the Sissies make it back to Boston? And did they have to pay themselves pay themselves? The team, I'm sure, chartered a flight for them. Let's see. Let me look at the schedule. One, I would imagine actually that the Red Sox players that Duran and Houck are staying in Cleveland for a couple of days and then just are meeting the team in Chicago. Okay, the Red Sox are going to get to Chicago on either Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Got to think that Duran and Houck are just going to meet them in Chicago. So they're not even coming back. As for paying for themselves, got to think that the team's paying for it. But Duran and Houck don't get paid for this series. So they are not getting paid. So they are financially being punished for not playing here. Yes, it's only 3 games. And maybe you don't think a 3 days worth of game check is a big deal. But they are not being paid for this. So they are getting a financial penalty. And then I think reasons 3 and 4 for me, as I really thought about this, reasons 3 and 4 are probably the biggest reasons why I'm not judging Duran and Houck. 1, the Red Sox now are in firm playoff position. The Red Sox right now are the number 1 wild card team. And the Red Sox right now, in my opinion, have 0 chance at winning the division. So if this were a situation where the Red Sox were 5 out of the wild card and they needed every possible win to even have a hope and a prayer and a chance at the playoffs, I'd be upset. If this were the situation where the Red Sox were 2 back of the Yankees and they needed every win to stay within striking distance of the Yankees so they could win the division, I'd be more mad. But right now, the Red Sox aren't in either of those positions. The Red Sox are not. If the Red Sox sweep Toronto, they're not going to be that close to the Yankees still. And if the Red Sox get swept by Toronto, they're still going to be right there in the thick of the playoff picture. So these 3 games, while important, while big, they do not have a life or death connotation to them like they could have, right? Like my Mariners are, I don't even know at this point, 6 out maybe of the last wild card spot. If my Mariners went to Toronto and were missing 2 huge pieces and they were 6 back of the last wild card and their playoff odds were dwindling to less than 5%, then I'd be judging people, right? How could you do this? The team needs you. Right now, the Red Sox are kind of sitting pretty. So these 3 games, they don't matter as much. They are important. They do matter. But get a sweep, I don't think they're that much closer to the Yankees. Get swept, they're still right there in the thick of the wild card race. So I think that's their playoff positioning is another reason I'm less judgy here. Now, Red Sox go to Toronto the last series of the regular season. If Sale, Houck, Duran are all big parts of the team and aren't vaccinated by the end of September and the Red Sox are battling it out for their playoff lives, then I will be judgy. Then I will be judging. Right now, their playoff positioning being relatively safe at the moment, I'm looking the other way on this right now. And then finally, and I think this is a fair admission by me, I am not a diehard Red Sox fan. You all are. It's that simple. I can step back rationally and objectively and say, I do not live and die on the Red Sox. I like the Red Sox. I like a lot of their players. I love our conversations on them. I'm fully immersed in the team, but they do not make me happy or break my heart in the way the Mariners do. So they do that for all of you. So you get emotionally wrapped up in it to the point where every game matters to you. I get it. Every Mariners game matters to me. Not every Red Sox game matters to me. So 3 games right now in June where the Red Sox are in firm playoff position as we sit and aren't immediately chasing the division. This is another reason why I am less judgy of these players not being there. And again, I do really enjoy the Red Sox, but I do not live and die on every game like you do. So I get it. A lot of you are harsh on Duran and harsh on Houck for what they've done to your team. Your team is not my team. Okay, my team went to Toronto already and was out their Cy Young pitcher from last year, and that hurt. And they were out a reliever from last year, and that hurt. Or a reliever who was really good last year, I should say, and that hurt. And I was probably more upset about those guys than I was about these guys. I think playoff position helps. I think lack of me being a diehard Red Sox fan matters. And again, just in my life in general with COVID, I have chosen to give up the fight. Scott and Heinsberg, could they meet Toronto in a one-game playoff in Toronto? No. The one-game playoffs are done. We're done with one-game playoffs now to get to the playoffs. So that's not going to happen. The Red Sox do go to Toronto, the final series of the regular season. And that absolutely could matter. So we may be doing this segment in 3 months, going to the last series of the regular season, and Chris Sale's unavailable, Tanner Houck, and Jarren Duran. I promise you, I will have a different tone then. I do believe in the vaccine. I do wish these players would get the vaccine. I wish that they would be available. But again, I gave up the fight on it. I'm not judging them. They are allowed to make their own decisions, and I do respect that, whether I agree or not. I do respect their right to choose. And given the Red Sox situation right now, I don't think it's the world's biggest deal to not have them. It was a big deal in April when they didn't have them, when they didn't have Houck and all the ripple effect that came from it. So I hope nothing bad happens now like happened then. But I'm not judging these guys. I'm just surprised. Jarren Duran is playing great. Rob Refsnyder's in the starting lineup today. If Rob Refsnyder plays great for these 3 games in Duran's absence, the Red Sox have made it very easy for Jarren Duran to be sent down to AAA and Rob Refsnyder to stay on the roster. Because when Kike Hernandez comes back, one of them's going to have to go. Okay, one of them's going to have to go when Kike's back. And if you're Duran, I think you want that to be you that stays. Well, if Refsnyder plays great, then you might have just sent your ticket back to Worcester. So I'm surprised that these young players with a lot to lose did that. Okay, let's see. Bill, let's say these 2 young Sox players were on the Seattle roster and the Mariners wanted to trade them to the Blue Jays for a frontline pitcher and some prospects at the deadline. Do these guys get penalized for putting the team in a position of not being able to make this trade? Like it or not, they are assets for the team they are contracted to, and they are not available for the team to use as they see fit. Well, I would say that's an interesting question. Teams making trades with Toronto. Obviously, Toronto can only acquire vaccinated players, at least for this year, right? They got to be vaccinated this year. I would say that the Blue Jays are absolutely going to look at vaccine status when it comes to players they want to acquire. Now, look, most players are vaccinated. I mean, this is not a rampant issue. Look, we're talking about 2 Red Sox players that are not vaccinated, and Cutter Crawford's a 3. We're talking about 3 Red Sox players that aren't vaccinated. That's not a huge percentage. So most players the Blue Jays would try to acquire are vaccinated. So it's not going to be as big a deal. But the vaccine has absolutely played a role in how teams have acquired talent. We know that Trevor Story, part of the holdup with him signing with the Red Sox in the offseason was he going to get vaccinated? Story, I guess, didn't want to get vaccinated. And the Red Sox said, if we're going to sign you, you're going to get vaccinated. We need you available for these games in Toronto, and we need you to be less likely to acquire COVID so that you'll be available to us more often. So the vaccine has played a role in player acquisition. I don't know how big a role it's going to play for the Blue Jays. I got to think that deals they want to make, again, we're talking about a small pool of players that are unvaccinated. Again, on my Mariners, there were 2 that didn't go. The Red Sox have 3. I guess in Sale would be 4. And the Red Sox and Mariners were 2 of the least vaccinated teams last year. So, I got to think a lot of guys around the league. Most are back. I think the White Sox put 2 on the list. My dad's a White Sox fan, so I was following it with him. I think they put 2 on the list, Cease and Graveman. So it's not a huge number. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Travis says you could argue this series means more to Toronto than Boston. I would absolutely agree with that. I think this series does mean more to Toronto than Boston. You look right now, the Blue Jays have every advantage in this game. Kevin Gausman is pitching against a guy who's making his season debut in Connor Seabold. If you're the Blue Jays, you have to win this game. You are a game and a half behind the Red Sox. So if the Red Sox take even one game of this series, you cannot pass them in the standings. All of these teams are looking up at the Yankees. None of these teams are winning the division. So you are very actively caring about the wild card race. And the Red Sox right now are in front of you by a game and a half. The Blue Jays need this series more because they are trailing in the standings. And the Blue Jays have the advantage here in that Gausman is pitching against Connor Seabold, again, who's right at this point, while a good prospect, a minor league call-up. Okay, he is a minor league call-up. And then you look at the other games in this series, Waka against Stripling. I would say the Red Sox have the advantage there. But then Pivetta against Manoah. As good as Pavetta's been, Manoah is one of the best pitchers in the American League. 9-2 with a 2.05 ERA. Like, that's Cy Young caliber numbers. The Blue Jays have the pitching advantage here. They've got to be able to use it. They've got to be able to use it because I would agree with Travis. This series means more to Toronto than it does the Red Sox. Absolutely. Okay. I wanted to get to a hypothetical Red Sox trade, but we're coming up here on the end of the hour and therefore almost the end of the show. We're going to have to get to that tomorrow. But I want to congratulate Taylor Bowen. We talked about this on the midday news service. Taylor Bowen, whose family immigrated to Vermont when he was young. He settled in Jericho. He played a year at Mount Mansfield Union High School. Then he went on to play a couple of years in Rhode Island and then at prep school. He just committed the other day, 37th ranked player in the class of 2023 for boys basketball, just committed to Florida State. Congratulations to Vermont's own Taylor Bowen. Again, committing to the Seminoles, a team that's been at the Sweet 16 a couple of times in the last few years, the Elite Eight as well coached under Leonard Hamilton. They've always been a Duke killer in the ACC. So Taylor Bowen, 6'9", 195 pounds. Look, this is not a guy, to be honest with you, that I knew a lot about prior to the last couple of weeks, right? We focus on the hometown guys, right? Ben Shungu, Michelle Ndiashimiye, who both go to UVM. Guys that stayed in Vermont, played their high school ball here, and then went to UVM. I know those guys' games a lot better than I know Taylor Bowen. But I went and watched the highlights today. He certainly got a skill set. 6'9", 195, long and lean, really can elevate. Saw him throw down some very nice dunks. Also, a good jump shot. Okay, at 6'9", you always wonder about a guy's ball handling, but seemed to be pretty good with the ball in his hands. Pretty crisp, good step back, good shot from distance. There's a reason why he's the 4-star recruit and the number 37 player in his class. And he's going to Florida State. He chose Florida State over Duke. He chose it over Providence. He chose it over some major programs. I think it's really, really cool that a Vermonter is getting that kind of attention. And while I understand some people are going to, he hasn't played here in a while. No, he's still a Vermonter. Okay, just because he didn't play for your favorite high school for all 4 years doesn't mean what he's done is any less impressive. So I wish Taylor Bowen good luck, congratulations, and it follows another good string of local sports news in the last year, from Owen Kellington to Ellie Purier St. Pierre to all of our conversation always with Amanda Pelkey. Excellent stuff. Taylor Bowen going to Florida State, going to be a Seminole, and going to get an opportunity to play for the legendary Leonard Hamilton. 6'9", 195. Good handle, good shot, and now about to be a Seminole. All right, that will we will step aside here. That'll do it for hour number 1 here on the Brady Farkas Show. We will get you the Red Sox and Blue Jays lineups on the other side of the CBS National News Update. That comes next on Vermont's news station and sports leader, WDEV AM and FM.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by vtdigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local changemakers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at vtdigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Facet Wealth.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Medical helicopters are now shuttling people to hospitals around Missouri where an Amtrak train derailed. CBS's Steve Futterman has the latest.
The Amtrak train, the Southwest chief, was traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago when it hit a dump truck. Rob Nightingale was on board the train. He posted this on Facebook Live.
We hit a truck. Someone was crossing the tracks.
Several rail cars fell off the tracks on their side. Emergency crews were quickly on the scene. Some of the injured have been taken by helicopter to hospitals. Among those on board, high school students set to attend a future business leaders conference in Chicago.
Democrats say they're working on a bill now that would allow women to cross state lines to get an abortion as advocates fight for rights in several states. CBS's Jim Krasula.
A judge in New Orleans has blocked enforcement of a statewide abortion ban intended to automatically go into effect once Roe was overturned. 12 other states have so-called abortion trigger laws.
With these trigger laws, there's a great deal of confusion. So there isn't that due process because people don't know what exceptions can be made and which laws are in effect.
Lori Levinson is a Loyola law professor and former federal prosecutor.
The ACLU is also fighting a 15-week ban in Florida. The Supreme Court sided with a former high school football coach who got fired for praying after games. But Joseph Kennedy says he never forced players to participate.
The prayer's like a 15-second thing. It's not even a thought, beginning thought or an ending thought anytime during any of the football program. I had lots of kids that came up and said, hey, coach, I don't feel comfortable joining. Well, that's America. You can join, you cannot join. It's totally up to you.
A surprise January 6th hearing is happening tomorrow.
That they have made this 11th hour change to add a hearing to keep confidential the witness's name has the fingerprints of somebody who might be orchestrating or operating a hearing with blockbuster potential.
That's CBS's Scott McFarlane. A landmark law in New York City giving non-citizens the right to vote has been struck down. WCBS Radio's Steve Burns has the story.
The law was seen as a watershed moment in New York politics, giving around 800,000 New Yorkers with green cards and work visas the right to vote in local elections. A state Supreme Court judge is overturning it, citing the state constitution that expressly gives citizens the right to vote. The suit was brought by the city's Republican politicians. They say this is the right call.
Brittany Griner was in court in Russia today.
Brittany, do you have anything to say?
The WNBA star's trial starts on Friday. This is CBS News.
Facet Wealth is an SEC-registered investment advisor. They offer customized financial planning for you, not just your assets. Learn more at facetwealth.com/Jill.
Hi, my name is Jeff Gould. I live in Barrie, Vermont, and run J. Gould Plumbing and Heating. I'm here to talk to you about Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice, an organization that is very dear to me and my sister Elizabeth's heart. CVHHH's hospice team cared for my mother, Barbara Gould, a nurse who worked for 50 years in this community at the end of her life. CVHHH's hospice nurses embraced me, my mom, and my family with warmth and kindness that helped us through a very painful time. They explained what to expect as Mom declined and were always available to answer our questions. Mom received the same high-quality care that she valued and provided as a nurse. Elizabeth and I are forever grateful. So please join Elizabeth and I and donate to Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice's Spring Appeal. Your gift ensures families like ours can access the loving care and one-on-one support in the comfort of home and at a time when it matters the most. Please donate at cvhhh.org. Thank you.
Folks, Dan and Pat Keen here at Lamoille Valley Chevy. We want you to know that now's the time to order for less at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, Pat. Thanks, bro. Folks, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, business is really strong, and we're retail ordering new vehicles for less. Right now, Chevrolet is going through model year changeovers, and we are still accepting orders for the entire lineup of Chevy car, trucks, and SUVs. Not only will our customers be at the front of the line when the new models roll out, but they will be paying less at Lamoille Valley Chevy, too. And here's why. Right now, when you order your new Chevy from Lamoille Valley, we will take an additional $1,000 off MSRP, and that is on top of factory incentives and huge trade allowances. And speaking of trade, as always, our lot at Lamoille Valley Chevy is packed right now with clean, late-model pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We are making deals to sell them down. Shoppers, if you need a vehicle today, we just had 3 truckloads of new Chevy trucks and SUVs arrive this week. So come on down before they're gone. You heard, Pat. Order for less and save money today at Lamoille Valley Chevy, located just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Red Sox are a game and a half up on the Blue Jays. Connor Siebold pitches for the Sox his first start of the year. Kevin Gausman 5-6 with a 3.19 for Toronto. Rob Refsnyder leads off in right without Jaron Duran there. Rafael Devers is at third. JD Martinez the DH. Xander Bogaerts at short. Alex Verdugo is getting hot. He's in left. 39 ribbies right now for Verdugo. Trevor Story bats sixth at second base. Christian Vasquez is the catcher. JBJ is in center, and Bobby Dahlbeck is at first. No Franchi Cordero today. George Springer is in center for the Jays. Bo Bichette at short. Vlad Guerrero Jr. at first. Alejandro Kirk is the catcher. Teoscar Hernandez is in right. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. the DH. Matt Chapman at third. Santiago Espinal is at second. And Kevin Biggio is the left fielder. He bats ninth finally over the Mendoza line at 2:05. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Brady Farkas show is out on WDEV AM and FM.
This is the World Champions of Baseball, the Red Sox.